Hello everyone. I'd like to bring to your attention a number of news articles about Fernando Manrique. I've put the links to the news articles in the description of this video. Fernando Manrique murdered his family and committed suicide back in October of 2016. At the time, I wasn't aware of the case, but I've been reading about it recently as it's been in the Australian news media again due to a coronial inquest into the murders. The reason the case piqued my interest is due to a number of things related to what Mr. Manrique was getting up to in the Philippines. I do not believe the news media adequately covered this part of the case, but they certainly alluded to the situation. The court heard Mr. Manrique was having an affair with a woman who was 17 when he met her while on a work trip in the Philippines in 2015. He was sending gifts to the girlfriend in the amount of thousands of dollars, Sergeant Pooley said. A Sydney father who is suspected of murdering his wife and 2 kids by poisoning them with toxic gas may not have meant to kill himself, an inquest has heard. Counsel assisting Adam Castleton told a coronial inquest into the deaths of the Manrique family that items found in the house, including a packed suitcase, could point to the possibility the father was about to flee. The coroner heard that Manrique was also financially supporting a woman he was in a serious relationship with in the Philippines, where he spent 2 weeks every month for work. Manrique confided in his friend his marriage had become strained. He was seeing other women, and there was nothing left in the relationship. The teenager told Australian police she met Manrique at a bar where she worked. He told her to quit her job and that he would support her financially. She said Fernando intended to buy her a property, but never did so. There is a lot to analyse in the news articles, and I'm not going to go into them in any great detail. Instead, I would like those of you who are travellers to the developing world countries like Thailand and the Philippines in particular, to read through the news articles carefully and think about the factors that would have motivated Manrique to commit such a horrendous crime. Think back to your experiences and the impressions they left on your hearts and minds as you're reading through the articles, and ask yourselves how far you might go to get what is so abundantly available in the developing world that is not available in your home country. What might you be capable of? That's how powerful the siren's calls are on the road each of us is on, gentlemen. What I find most interesting about the case is Manrique would have certainly been torn between his young girlfriend overseas and a really messed up situation at home with his wife and special needs kids. Imagine and feel in your hearts what it must have been like for him, travelling to paradise and experiencing the kinds of pleasures that come with a much younger girlfriend, and then coming back to his older wife and special needs kids, with the wife not wanting him around, and the burdens they were to him in comparison to the life he experienced with his younger girlfriend in the Philippines. He would have been internally struggling big time. I would bet my last dollar that his prime motivation was getting back to the Philippines to be with his young girlfriend. I would like to think that if I had known the guy, I could have talked him down, reasoned with him about his situation, what he had been experiencing in the Philippines, his younger lover, putting it all into perspective, to temper his motivations to get back there. I probably would have given him the best advice I ever got in Thailand, which was, every interaction with the Thai contains the seeds of an economic transaction. Whatever advice I would have given him, I would like to think I could have recognised his situation clearly and made a difference and helped to prevent his terrible actions. When I read the case, I kept thinking back to the time I met a beautiful young ladyboy in Pattaya when she was just 21. Our time together was the most amazing I had ever experienced before in my life. She was so stunningly beautiful. Later, I discovered that she had lied to me when she told me she was 21. She was really just 18. I learned a lot about my motivations as a man when I met her. I had not experienced such an overwhelming desire to stay in Thailand so that we could stay together. When I returned to Australia, I certainly left my heart in Thailand with her. I couldn't believe the motivation I had to move heaven and earth to create a new life over there with my younger lover. It's like I would say or do anything. I caught myself though, and I logically thought out what was going on in my head and my heart, and I slowly came down off that high as I slapped myself back to reality. I can only imagine men who are not so logical and rule more by their hearts and little heads and what they would be capable of given the right circumstances. This murder case highlighted to me that some men, almost certainly blinded by their desires for a new life and their previous incredible experiences in the Philippines in comparison to their humdrum lives in the Western world, are capable of murdering their own wife and family. The articles in this murder case certainly didn't cover enough of Manrique's motivations, and I suspect the reason why is the reporters didn't have anyone on staff who understood those motivations well enough or had been to the Philippines or Thailand and known what the situation was like over there on the ground to write authoritatively on the topic. I would like to encourage those of you with significant experience with relationships in the developing world to keep an eye out on those around you back home who might be struggling internally with what they're going through in their travels and their lives back in the Western world. I think we all need to help look out for each other, those of us who are walking this path. You know who these men are in your lives, as you all have the same thoughts on your minds, just as if each of you had radios tuned into the same station. You'll find each other. Think about your experiences in the developing world and who you've bonded and formed relationships with over the years when you've got back home to the Western world. That's it from me. All the best, everyone. I'm the Pretender. P.S. Remember Hans Mills. It's not hard to put two and two together and see the themes and the key motivations underlying these sorts of cases.